Noir was a low-class loser peasant who belonged to a noble family, but just in name. They were never respected within the noble community, and none of the high-class jobs were open for him. After getting his job stolen by a higher-ranking noble, he decides to take matters into his own hands and finds a hidden dungeon in which only he is able to enter. He soon realizes that he can never escape this high-level dungeon with his F-ranked skills. But everything changes when he finds a mysterious young lady chained to the walls who makes him the strongest hero on Earth. This was all a stroke of good luck, as he never intended to become an adventurer in the first place and was going to start working as a librarian because that was the only job a poor noble like him could get. On the first day of his job, he descends the stairs and sees his parents waiting for him with a distressed look on their face. His father falls to the ground and starts crying as they tell him that his librarian job was unexpectedly snatched away. A viscount's son had used his power and influence to force the library to give him the job instead. Unfortunately, Noir's family was too weak to be able to protest this. When his sister finds out what happened, she gets angry, but after calming down suggests that he join the Hero Academy. Only the top-ranking students can get in after passing a very difficult entrance exam. The ones who manage to graduate from this prestigious institution go on to become professional monster hunters or royal knights. Such people never have to worry about a career or money again. However, Noir worries that he may not be qualified enough to pass the exam. He goes on a walk to clear his head, when he hears a girl's voice calling him. He turns to see Emma Brightness, his childhood best friend. Her family has a high social ranking, but is still friends with Noir's family. She also took up the job of a librarian to be partners with Noir and is excited for their first day. But with a sad and awkward look, he tells her he has lost the job. In this world, everyone is blessed with a skill when they come of age. Noir received one of the best skills there is, called the Great Sage skill. When the priest announced it during the ceremony, his parents jumped with joy. He has the ability to communicate with a special sage who knows the answers to everything. Unfortunately, every time he asks a question, it takes a huge hit on his health, and he is left with headaches that make him pray for death. Thankfully, Emma has learned a solution for this issue. She tells him she recently read about another warrior with the same skill. Every time he was in pain, he would ask his wife for kisses, which would relieve him. He is intrigued and asks if she wants to try it. This embarrasses her, but after freaking out, she agrees to do it. They find a quiet place and kiss briefly. He then tries his power again and calls upon the sage to ask him how he can prepare for the Hero Academy entrance exam. He instructs him to find an unexplored dungeon and to train in the labyrinth to become stronger. Noir is immediately struck with a severe migraine, so they kiss again, and this time the headache fades away quickly. With the new information he just received, he makes his way to the hidden dungeon. He is armed with basic gear and has borrowed a sword from his father. After entering the cave, he looks around and finds the switch, which pushes him into a sealed area. A humongous door opens up in front of him, and he finds a girl, shackled to the wall with chains. She has light blue hair and has her eyes closed. She is able to communicate with him through thoughts, and she instructs him to touch her head. As soon as he does, he sees visions of the past. Her name is Olivia, who used to be an adventurer and monster hunter. She stumbled into this cave 200 years ago, and after finding the entrance to the dungeon, she made it past many levels by beating the monsters until she fell into a trap and has been stuck here ever since. After listening to Noir's mission, she decides to transfer her powers to him to help him make it through. Her special skill is that she can create any power that can be imagined. However, the stronger the power, the more energy will be lost. To replenish the energy, one has to enjoy themselves with worldly pleasures like food and money. Noir accepts her gift and tries it out by finding a jelly creature further down in the dungeon and imagines a stone bullet as a weapon to kill it. A stone bullet forms and destroys the jelly. Noir is successful but becomes tired, so he goes back home to spend time with his family and replenish his energy. He returns to the dungeon and asks Oivia to help him pass the entrance exam. She pities him and gives him the discerning eye skill, which can be used to gather data about anything. With his new skill, he confidently heads to the entrance exam. They are made to form teams of 3 and collect rare raw material from monsters. Emma has quit the job and followed Noir to the academy, so she teams up with him. They look for another teammate and are greeted by a high-ranking girl called Lena. For the task, they split up, and he heads back to the labyrinth to fight the Death Reaper. One swipe from the monster's scythe and Noir would be dead instantly. He starts brainstorming powerful skills to slow down the monster. Using his very last bit of energy, he forms another bullet to shoot the Death Reaper, causing it to explode into bits. With the material he collects from the monster, his team scores the highest and passes the entrance exam. Everyone rejoices over this news. The happiness is short-lived as he soon finds out he has to pay 300,000 coins for admission, which his family does not have. So he goes back to Olivia to ask for her advice. She tells him that the best way to make so much money is to kill high-level monsters in the dungeon and sell their remains to special buyers. However, Noir does not want to draw too much attention to himself, especially early on in his academic journey. So his next best option is to go to the Adventurers Guild and find a freelance job. The receptionist welcomes him and gives him a form to fill out his skills. When she sees Olivia's skills listed, she laughs at him since many people before him have also falsely claimed to have her powers. He insists that he is telling the truth, but she refuses to believe him. Finally, she pulls out a magical book that can list someone's powers just by feeling their touch. He puts his hand on it, and to her surprise, it confirms that he has Olivia's powers to transfer and edit skills. She is quickly humbled and turns red, while apologizing for not believing him. The jobs at the guild have different rankings according to their difficulty level. The higher the rank, the more money one can make. Since he needs to earn lots of money quickly, she hands him a rare quest that no one has been able to do yet. He has to capture special rainbow grasshoppers, so he heads out to their territory and uses his great sage skill. Since Emma is not with him, he uses his creative skill to make an immunity power against the headaches. The sage directs him to the best spots to find the grasshoppers, and with minimal pain, he is able to find one in very little time. He starts to look for the next one when all of a sudden there is a loud sound behind him. Emma has come running all the way to assist him in his quest. The two of them get to work, and after a long day of struggle, they manage to gather enough grasshoppers and bring it back to the guild. The receptionist brings the reward out on a platter and places it in front of him. She then starts flirting with him. This angers Emma, who pulls him back to her side. The two girls are about to engage in a fight, but Noir manages to defuse the situation quickly. He still has 50,000 more coins to earn, so he takes up another quest from the receptionist and heads out with Emma. For his next task, they need to hunt down a rabbit monster. As they reach the open fields, they are attacked by goblins. Noir slashes one and kills it, but before he can do the same to the other goblin, a gigantic rabbit with a horn on its head appears from behind and impales the goblin. Emma and Noir have a much bigger threat to worry about now. She tells him to step back as she wants to try and defeat it herself so she can show off to the receptionist who is trying to flirt with him. She pulls out her knives and slashes at the rabbit, but isn't able to cause much damage. He creates a stone bullet and sends the rabbit flying back, giving them enough time to find a hiding place. Emma has the skills, but they are not yet strong enough to defeat such a big monster, so he uses his powers to edit her skills and make them better. With her new skill upgrade, she is able to take better shots at the rabbit, and after a fierce battle she manages to completely annihilate it and cut off its horn. They take it back to the guild, and instead of being jealous, the receptionist praises her for her bravery, and they make peace. Noir adds to the joy by presenting the rabbit and announcing that they would have a giant feast with the rabbit's meat for everyone to enjoy. He also receives the remaining amount that he had to collect for the admission fees and is now able to start off his journey at the Hero Academy without any stress or delay. It is a new day and Noir wakes up ready for his first day at the Hero Academy. He heads toward the academy and meets Emma in the park, who is already waiting for him. The two of them have been placed in the same class and share the same class timings. He seems nervous walking down the halls filled with students since they are all made to wear badges to show their ranking in society. As soon as they enter the class, a hush falls over the room. Everyone stares at them as they make their way to their seat. Within moments, boys start lining up to get Emma's attention and to impress her. They push him away and make disgusted faces when they see that he is the lowest ranking member in society. The door opens and Maria, the daughter of a duke, walks in. She has almost a royal level ranking and everyone looks at her in awe. Noir remembers seeing her before and the information he had learned about her using his discerning eye skill. She has been cursed to die by the age of 16, which is soon. Unlike everyone else in the class, Maria spots Noir and walks over to him. She smiles and greets him while praising him for his excellent work during the entrance exam and also the quests. Seeing her interact with him, the other students also try to befriend him, but he has had enough of their rudeness and just walks away with Emma. For their first lecture, the students are assembled outside to learn practical fighting skills from Professor Elna. She became a soldier at the very young age of 7 and has now retired at 24. She introduces herself and makes it clear that she is not going to take it easy on anyone, since they need to be prepared to face the worst kinds of monsters outside the academy. For her first demonstration, Noir is called forward and instructed to try and attack her using his sword. He pulls it out and prepares to charge at her. But as soon as he gets close, she uses a special move to slide back at top speed. Professor Elma then challenges him to do the same move. To her surprise, Noir is able to smartly use Olivia's power and give himself the ability to pull the back step move off. Once again, the class is left stunned and impressed by his superior skills, and Elna looks at him in shock. Instead of acknowledging his skill, she moves on with the class and asks everyone to team up in pairs of 2 with strangers. Emma and Noir have to split up, and Lady Maria offers to be his partner instead after declining the offers from the other boys. Their first task is to learn to flip their partner in a defense move. Maria takes the first turn and slams Noir to the ground. As soon as she's done, a symptom of her curse kicks in, and she faints and falls onto him. Her assistant rushes to her side and helps her go back and get some rest. Noir starts planning how he can help her beat the curse by destroying it, but he only has a very short time to do so. He goes back to the Adventurers Guild with Emma and sits down with the receptionist to talk about the curse and the options for its cure. She remembers a friend of hers who is a professional cleric and has the skills to help with these kinds of problems as well as to exorcise evil. However, Luna, her friend, is so famous that her schedule is completely booked up for the next 3 months, and Lady Maria does not have that long. Noir decides to take the chance and asks her to introduce them to Lola so they can find out for themselves. Before taking Noir and Emma to meet her friend, the receptionist goes by herself to the office to meet Luna. She finds a long line of people standing outside, waiting in the hot sun for their appointment with her. On the other side, the people who have met her and come out seem overjoyed with the results. The receptionist goes in and finds her friend lying on the couch out of exhaustion. She has been overworking herself to finish all the meetings. She tells Luna about the matter at hand and asks to have a special appointment with Noir and Emma. Meanwhile, he goes back to the dungeon to meet Olivia, who tells him that Luna is most likely half-elf and he might be able to increase his skill points by befriending her. Emma meets him in the market, and they wait together till they see the receptionist and Luna walking toward them. She is wonderful to look at, with silky, long, pink hair and a cute face. After meeting, they head to a restaurant nearby and sit down for a meal while discussing their main purpose of meeting. He tells her that Lady Maria has less than a week to live and her pain and convulsions have gotten a lot worse. He himself does not have enough power to save her from the curse. Luna looks down with a sad expression. They ask her why she looked so upset, and she explains that she has seen Lady Maria before and declined to help her back then. Noir tries to find out why she won't use her skill to lift the curse, and using the discerning eye, he learns that every time she uses that skill it takes away years from her own life. Something as powerful as the 16th year curse would take a terrible hit on her lifespan and prevent her from helping hundreds and thousands of other people. Luna feels guilty about her decision to not help out a dying girl. As she keeps thinking about it, she remembers her mother, who was also in the same field as hers. Her mom always told her to do her best to help anyone she can, no matter what the cost. She herself continued chipping away at her own life to help everyone in need. This memory pushed Luna to change her mind, and she announces that she will help lift the curse from Lady Olivia, no matter what the consequences. However, Noir has already seen that she will lose many years and most likely not survive this process, so he tells the others to wait back and goes to talk to her in private. He tries to convince her not to take such a drastic step, but she has already made up her mind and refuses to budge from her decision. She believes if she is blessed with the ability, then it is her responsibility to help someone who is so close to death's door. Like Spider-Man would say, with great power comes great responsibility. Before they are done with their conversation, a loud bang is heard in the distance. Emma and the receptionist sprint to them, and they see a wall structure has collapsed and caused a huge commotion. When they reach the place, they see a boy trapped under the rubble. She digs him out of there, and he looks weak and extremely injured. They look to Luna for help in healing him. Without any hesitation, she pulls out her specialized tools and uses her power to hit him with a healing spell that instantly fixes him and removes all of his injuries. He turns around to thank her, but she collapses from exhaustion since she just spent a large amount of energy. The receptionist comes to her aid and holds her till she recovers, as she has dealt with this before. When she finally gains back her energy, she tells her about her decision to lift the curse even if it kills her. She is angry at first, but then hugs her friend and promises to support her. The group sits together again and brainstorms other ideas for them to save Lady Maria. Noir realizes he can make use of Olivia's power to edit Luna's skill in a way that instead of taking a hit at her lifespan, removing the curse will only affect and reduce her finances. But to do so, he will have to collect and save up a lot of strength and energy by engaging in worldly pleasures like great food and materialistic gifts. The receptionist tells him about a grand competition that is going to happen very soon where he will be able to satisfy all these desires and in turn gain the required amount of strength. Lady Maria's health is only getting worse, and she is now confined to her room and on bed rest. In order to save her in time, the group has to hurry up and help Noir gain maximum strength points quickly. Using her contacts, the receptionist is able to get them into the grand competition as participants. The competition takes place between a large number of different adventure guild groups. The participants have to present their unique abilities and skills that they have acquired, and in turn the audience and the host will judge them and award points based on a vote. The stands are lined up and filled completely with a loud and frustrated crowd who will not be very kind to the participants as they are looking for a way to vent their frustrations of their own lives. The four of them watch intently as the first group comes out into the arena and presents themselves. The rowdy crowd goes ballistic and throws insults at them, yelling for them to go away from their sight. Noir is shocked by the behavior of the crowd and worries about his own group. As the participant groups come out one after the other to showcase their skills, the crowd keeps getting more and more harsh with their judgments and the insults keep getting more creative and hurtful. After a while, the main competitor to the receptionist's guild comes out, and for once, the crowd is actually pleased with them. Their powers impress the crowd, and unlike all the other teams so far, they manage to actually get a decent score. The audience has calmed down a bit with their critique and enjoys the showcase of different abilities by the group. Finally, it is Noir and his group's turn to present themselves. They are afraid of the crowd's reaction, but have no choice but to participate, since they are desperately in need of the reward to increase Noir's strength and be able to save Lady Maria's life. Emma nervously walks out first and displays her skills. There is a moment of silence after which the audience erupts in applause and praise, completely impressed by both her skills and beauty. Luna steps out next and presents herself to them. They recognize her as the cleric who heals people and go even more wild. There is cheers and appreciation all around and Noir is beyond pleased. Finally, the receptionist steps out and she too is greeted by the same energetic and enthusiastic energy by the harsh and brutal crowd. Their team has managed to surpass all expectations and bring out a never-before-seen reaction in the arena. The host is overjoyed and begins counting all the votes. As expected, Noir's team has brought in the largest number of positive votes ever recorded, and to their pleasure, they win the giant cash reward. With the money and the praises by the crowd, Noir has managed to increase his strength since his worldly desires were fulfilled. He now has enough to attempt and edit Luna's skills so that she has the ability to save Lady Maria. Together, they head to the Duke's castle, which is a gigantic property where the cursed Lady Maria is resting. Even with so much money at their disposal, the family was still not able to find a cure for their daughter. Lady Maria lies in bed and begins to see flashbacks of her whole life. Ever since she was a little girl, she knew that was never destined to lead a full life. The curse was placed on her by an evil sorceress who was jealous of her beauty, and the curse only affected her and no one else in the family. No matter how much she struggled and prayed to God, she was not able to escape the evil curse. After a while, she just accepted her fate and decided that if she was going to live a short life, she was going to make it count for something great. This is why she worked hard and took admission in the Hero Academy. To her luck, that's where she met Noir and his friends. The group reaches the gate and sees Lady Maria's assistant sitting on the stairs and silently weeping into her palms for her mistress. She knows she only has a short time left now, but she is happy to see the group and stands up to greet them. Noir and Luna enter her bedroom where her parents are already seated. They see Luna and ask if they were here to help lift the curse. Noir explains to them what all had happened and how Luna now has a new chance to work on Maria and potentially heal her completely. Her assistant tells them that Maria always had a feeling that he would be the one to save her. They prepare for the curse removal as Luna takes her place at the foot of the bed and Noir holds Lady Maria's hand. The process begins and Luna exerts all her energy and force to fight the hold of the curse. It is not an easy journey, but slowly and steadily she is able to reverse the effects of the evil curse and spread the force of light throughout her. Maria opens her eyes and with his discerning eye skill, Noir checks to see if the curse is lifted. He happily announces that she is fully healthy again. Everyone hugs her and she thanks him over and over again for all of his help and care. He leaves the Duke's castle, happy that he was able to help out his friend in times of trouble. To thank him for all his hard work, Lady Maria's father, the Duke, sends him a huge sum of money, which is over 1,000,000 coins. When the girls see it, they begin to suggest ideas and ways in which to use the money and then start arguing with each other. Noir walks away from the fight and heads home to tell his family all about his newly earned wealth. His father takes one look at the money and gets all starry-eyed while thinking of the ways in which he can spend that much money. He plans to retire immediately and use the money to gamble at the casino. Noir puts an immediate stop to these daydreams and suggests they use the money to open up a shop and sell rare monster items which can guarantee a steady source of income for the whole family. He puts his father in charge of finding a place to set up the shop and handling all the paperwork. To collect the rare monster items for the shop, Noir decides to go back to the dungeon where Olivia is trapped and to explore the labyrinth further. It is the best place to start fighting and defeating monsters. He meets her on his way in and tells her of his plans. She suggests he use his creative power to create an elevator in the labyrinth dungeon and help him finish his tasks more efficiently. She also suggests creating another blinding light skill, which might help him gain an edge over the various monsters. He takes her advice and enters back into the dark and creepy dungeon. As he enters the first floor, he finds a room filled with big toads tucked away in the corners. He looks around and is stunned when he sees a gigantic lion emerge out of the darkness. He is unable to learn anything about it using his discerning eye, so he creates the elevator portal and runs to exit the floor after using the blinding light to stall the lion. Just as he is about to step through the portal, he hears a voice telling him to wait and not be afraid. He turns and is surprised to see the voice coming from the lion, and after taking a closer look he notices a tulip growing on its head. The lion is impressed by his skills and offers him a trade. In exchange for a ride to the 6th floor, Noir must promise to help the lion in his search for someone. So he climbs onto his back and holds on as the lion charges through the passageways, slaying every monster that comes in their way with ease. He tells Noir about his friend who he lost over 300 years ago. They had explored the dungeon together till the 5th floor, but his friend wanted to clear out the traps on the 6th floor on his own. That was the last time he ever heard from him, and he has been waiting for his return ever since. After clearing the 5th floor, Noir heads up to the 6th floor on his own. Once his eyes adjust to the dark, he sees a non-human figure walking in his direction and making weird noises. It is a zombie monster, and before he can fight this one, a bunch more of them appear from the background. They have completely outnumbered him, so his only real option is to run and hide. He manages to find a room and slams the door shut behind him. He looks around and finds another door on the other side of the room which he can use to escape. He steps out of it only to find another zombie creeping towards him. But something about this zombie feels different. He is dressed like an adventurer, and Noir realizes that this might be the lion's friend who he was supposed to look for. He makes use of his skill again, and using a lot of strength, he is able to create a skill to reverse the effects on the lion's friend. He returns back to his normal elf state and introduces himself as Val. He had come here many centuries ago after befriending the lion, in search of a treasure so he could send back money to his family in the village. Unfortunately, he got trapped and wasn't able to make it out. Noir tells him about how the lion has waited all these years for him, and they go back to the 5th floor to meet him. Their happy reunion only lasts a short time as Val tells them that he has to go back to his village and see if anyone he knows is still alive. His homeland only allows elves to enter, so he will not be able to take the lion back there with him. After a heartfelt farewell, he leaves them and goes on his way while the lion goes back into the dungeon. Noir follows him to check on him, and when he sees him crying, he offers a hand of friendship and invites him to his home where he can have a nice place to sleep and good food to eat. The lion happily accepts the offer and lifts Noir onto his back so they can ride through the meadows back to his home. His father is shocked to see such a giant cat in his home, but is too afraid to say anything. The lion greets them politely, and very soon the full family grows fond of the giant cat and accepts it as one of the family. Emma and Noir continue with their daily routine, and after meeting in the morning, they make their way to school. Lady Maria is also back in school with her assistant. They settle down as the teacher walks in and yells at everyone to be silent. She has come with a surprise exam that will last 2 long weeks. The tasks for the exam are extremely difficult, and not everyone will be able to make it through. However, the ones who fail will be forced to take extra classes throughout the summer. Noir is determined to keep his summer free, and so he is focused on making sure he passes the exam no matter what. The exam is divided in 2 parts. First, the students need to source and collect special material which is not easily available to the public. Most of these materials come from monster remains. The second part of the exam, which is the most dangerous part, is finding and slaying a dragon out in the wild. As they share their lunchtime, the 2 of them decide to work together in collecting the material. Noir suggests that they head straight to their trusted friend, the receptionist from the Adventurers Guild. She gets a bit annoyed at this as she has been trying to keep him away from other girls, but the receptionist's knowledge and wisdom about these things might benefit them a lot, so they travel to the guild together. As they reach the door, they hear loud noises from 2 girls coming from inside. It sounds like there is an argument taking place. Noir has a worried expression and opens the door to find out what was happening. Their friend and another receptionist were at each other's throats and quarreling like cats. Luna is already at the guild and is trying to pull her away and stop her from fighting. She explains that the other girl, Sarah, has been manipulating and stealing all of the adventurers that were assigned to the receptionist. Using unfair means and tactics, she manages to convince them to leave the receptionist and join her instead. This has caused her rating in the staff chart to go up a lot. Since the receptionist hasn't been meeting her quota, she is at risk of being kicked out from the guild. Sarah continues to taunt her and then challenges her to try and cross her ranking. If she does, then she will stop stealing adventurers from her, but if she fails, Sarah will be allowed to choose any of her adventurers to take for herself. She then gives Noir a sly look and promises to take him for herself since she is confident the receptionist will not be able to beat her. The rankings of the staff are determined by how well their adventurers do in their quests, and since Noir has no interest in leaving his friend, he tells her he will help her out by completing as many quests as possible. He also asks her for quests that will help him gather material for the exam since she has inside information for this. She is delighted by his offer and even more happy when Emma and Luna also say they will join in the quests so they can complete a lot more and take up her ranking to beat the mean girl, Sarah. She hands them their tasks and together they begin their high-level quests. One after the other they emerge victorious and are able to successfully complete all the assignments given to them. They also are able to upgrade their skill levels and unlock new powers until finally they are ready to face a dragon. Noir's new pet, the lion, already knows where to find the dragon's lair, so they climb onto his back and ride into the wild. They reach the area and dig up a hole to set a trap for it. Noir then heads to the cave where the dragon lies and attempts to lure out the dragon by throwing a stone at it. The enraged dragon comes out and begins his rampage, determined to kill Noir. As soon as it reaches the trap, Emma and Luna attack it with their weapons and newly acquired skills. In no time, the dragon is defeated and the three of them bring it back to the guild. Due to the collection of such strong and rare materials, the receptionist's rank in the staff goes up a lot, but so does Sarah's, who is working her adventurers till they turn into almost zombie-like. To help the receptionist gain still more points and win the challenge, Noir heads back to the dungeon and meets Olivia again. She teaches him to combine his different skills using the editor power in order to create even more deadly spells. With her help, he is able to slay the whole legion of zombies on the 6th floor before returning home to rest for the day, so he can come back again after regaining his strength and attempt the 7th floor. The 7th floor turns out to be like none other. It transports Noir to a whole new world that is filled with sunlight and trees and wild animals. It has beautiful flowers all around which makes it look like a paradise and nothing like part of a dungeon. This is why the 7th floor is one of the most dangerous floors and also the floor where the special treasure is hidden. The illusion of beauty draws the adventurer in and allows them to forget the kind of terrifying territory they are in. Very often they let their guard down and succumb to the perils of the floor. Noir slowly walks around the place, trying to learn as much as possible. He comes across a pack of wolves which are devouring their meal. Using his discerning eye, he sees that the wolves' danger level is much above his skill level, so he turns and walks away. A little bit further, out of nowhere, a young girl with long beautiful hair appears. She has elven ears and appears fairy-like, but her face looks exactly like Emma's childhood face. She introduces herself as Dory and tells him that she is a dryad, which means that her spirit is tied to a tree in the forest. With her skills, she is able to spread the roots of her tree all over and learn a lot of information about the power of all creatures passing through. She has come to him looking for help after sensing his presence and the skills he possesses. For the past several months, there has been a monster constantly attacking her tree and draining out its sap. This in turn has caused her own life force and strength to keep decreasing. If the monster is not stopped, she will wither away very soon as her tree will perish to the ground. She knows that he is here on a mission to find rare collectibles, so she promises to show him where the treasures are found in exchange for his help with the monster. Noir does not instantly agree since he knows the monster might be too difficult for him to beat, but gaining that treasure might help save the receptionist's job, so he agrees to check it out. They go together to her tree and hide behind a bush waiting for the monster. A loud buzzing sound is heard and they see a big mutated bee flying near her tree. It has modified wings and a sting with poisonous mutations. Noir uses his special eye to check out the bee's stats and is stunned to find out its level is 4 times higher than his, which means he doesn't stand any chance of fighting it on his own. He is tempted to leave, but seeing the little girl suffer so much and shiver in pain, his heart breaks and he convinces himself to be braver and find a way to help her. Before taking any further step, He goes back to the entry and visits Olivia to ask for her guidance. Her first advice to him is to not engage with this kind of monster, and to walk away from the fight because he does not stand any chance of making it out alive. But he is determined to help the little girl, and seeing his willpower, she decides to try and help him. She teaches him a new skill with which he can alter the target of anything that is chasing him. He heads back to the 7th floor and comes up with a plan to use this new skill. After seeing that the golden bee is back at its nest, he finds the pack of wolves, and using a stone he gets their attention by throwing it at one of their heads. The enraged pack of wolves see him and immediately begin chasing him down to end him. Now that he has their attention, he has to find the golden bee while outrunning the wolves. To his dismay, he is not as fast as needed, and one of the wolves manages to trip him. He quickly uses the blinding light skill to temporarily stun the wolves and give him enough time to escape. But before he reaches the nest of the bee, he sees the little girl fallen on the ground, and he looks up to find that the golden bee has come back to attack the tree. Since there is no time to wait for the wolves, he pulls out his sword and attacks the bee himself, but his sword just bounces off the bee's body. He then uses several lightning strikes which still have no effect on the bee, which is much faster than any of his attacks. Meanwhile, the wolves arrive, and he is now surrounded by monsters on all sides with no way to escape. This is his only chance to use the skill Olivia taught him, so he concentrates and shifts the target of the wolves from himself to the golden bee. His skill works, and the wolves together attack the bee. Even though they are much higher in number than the bee, they all get hit down one by one. The bee is still up and flying, but it has taken a lot of damage to its body and strength. Noir now uses his skill to combine water with lightning and targets the bee. He manages to electrocute it, and it falls dead to the ground. Dory has woken up and is overjoyed with the result and promptly takes him to the hidden treasure. Since the opening is too small, she goes in and retrieves the treasures for him. One is a special pearl that has special wind powers. He decides to give this to Emma, who enjoys using wind powers. The other golden piece is one of the rarest collectibles, and he takes it back to the Adventurers Guild, where the receptionist can collect an insane number of points for retrieving this piece and win over Sarah. The day of counting the final points of the staff finally arrives, and the adventurers are made to stack coins which correspond to their points. One by one, each staff member is out of points until only Sarah and the receptionist remain. They are tied until the very last coin, where Noir pulls out one extra coin than Sarah's adventurer. The receptionist has won, and Noir will not have to switch his guild team. All in all, it was another successful day for him. The next day, Emma and Noir meet again in the park to test out what the pearl treasure would do. She nervously holds it up to her face and then slowly swallows it. A blue light emits from her body, and he sees that the pearl has upgraded her skills. She stands up to run around and finds out that she now has an enhanced power for speed. She also has wind/slash skill, which she can use to summon a strong gust of wind that can move trees and blow away her enemy. She sits back down and thanks him for the gift, but he notices that she has a sad look on her face and does not seem very enthusiastic. She shrugs it off and then asks him if he will join her for an upcoming party, as she is looking for someone to dance with. He is hesitant at first because he thinks he will not fit in, but the thought of her dancing with other boys disturbs him, so he agrees to go with her. They head back to their homes, and as usual, there is new drama stirring up at Noir's home. His father has been sitting at the table, screaming, crying, and wailing like a little child. Everyone at home is fed up with his behavior and beg Noir to deal with it. His father tells him that he has been all over the town, in every street and alley, looking for a place for them to rent and set up their shop to sell rare collectibles. But every time he tries to offer a deal for the rent, he is rejected, as they are all against renting to a low-ranking noble like him. He continues sobbing, and Noir asks him to calm down. He knows that finding a place for rent would not be easy, but with the upcoming party, he hopes to make a few new acquaintances with higher-level nobles who can help him out. His father offers him a suit to wear, but it is extremely old and smelly, so Noir uses some of the reward money to buy himself a new outfit. He arrives at the ball dressed up handsomely in a suit. Emma is nowhere to be seen, but he finds her parents in the middle of the crowd. They greet him with a smile and small talk for a while until Emma arrives. She looks more radiant than ever, dressed in a white ball gown with a high slit. Noir looks at her in awe as she walks toward him. The party is about to formally begin when the host enters at the top of the stairs with a troubled look on his face. He calls for the attention of the crowd and tells them of the news he just received. The Phantom Thief, who is a very well-known villain in the town, has sent him a warning that his precious mermaid tier artifact will be stolen during the party tonight. Fear sweeps over the crowd, and Noir looks over to Emma, who seems to be overcome with fright. The host assures the crowd that he has hired top adventurers from a special guild to protect the artifact and look after the crowd, which calms everyone down a bit. But Emma still looks terrified. When he tries to find out what happened, she brushes it away and changes the topic by telling him they should go and dance to enjoy the party. She sits down and waits for their turn on the dance floor when an old friend of hers approaches her and asks for her hand for one dance. She says she hasn't changed her mind and already has a partner. But when he sees Noir, he challenges him to a competition of who can dance better with her based on crowd applause. His ego makes him agree to it without asking Emma, so she heads to the dance floor with the boy first, and they receive huge applause at the end of their dance. Noir is up next and worried how he can do better, so he uses his creative skill to give him dancing abilities. They amaze the crowd with their advanced moves, and he emerges as the clear winner. As soon as they are done dancing, the lights go off and the Phantom Thief appears on top of the chandelier and announces her intent to steal not just the mermaid tear, but also Emma. Noir now realizes that she has already received a threat before, which is why she seemed so stressed out all this time. Before he has a chance to react, the Phantom kidnaps Emma and takes her away. The lights go back on and the host goes to check on the mermaid tear, which gives the Phantom's partner the perfect opportunity to steal it. The adventurers are too slow for their attack, and both the Phantom and her partner escape from the hall with Emma and the stone. They prepare to split up and follow each of the villains, but Noir stops them and says that he too will be joining them. They refuse at first due to his skills not being as strong as theirs, but he refuses to stay back, so Layla, the adventurers' leader, allows him to go along with her. As the other half of the group follow the Phantom's partner, these two follow the Phantom to save Emma. They catch up with the Phantom, who casts her Hellfire Phoenix spell on them. Layla deals with the bird while he continues after the Phantom. Lightning is her weakness, but he is not able to use that skill since she manages to stay out of the attack range. He sees Layla surrounded by fire, so before using another attack, he uses his editor's skills to strike the bird and make it flightless. This gives Layla the chance to attack and destroy it. The Phantom is also distracted by this, and Noir uses it to his advantage to hit her with a water bubble infused with electricity, which instantly renders her useless. It looks like they have won, but to their surprise, the Phantom's partner shows up disguised as one of Layla's friends. He takes Emma away, but Noir is able to break his disguise. He is still a lot stronger and tries to slow them down using a gravity skill. But Noir's willpower is a lot stronger, and he fights through the pressure to beat him and save his best friend. They head back to the party hall with the prisoners and receive praise from everyone. To thank him for saving the night, the host helps Noir find a good place to set up his family's shop, as well as get a huge discount on the rent. The family rejoices, and Emma promises to also help out with the shop as gratitude for saving her from danger. The next week at school, Professor Elna stands at the front of the class and quietens them down. She then tells them she has two big announcements. First, she introduces a foreign exchange students who will be joining their class for a few semesters and to learn of their practices and advance her skill levels even more. She is also already a leading member of one of the town's guilds and is to be respected by the class. The student walks in, and to Emma and Noir's astonishment, it turns out to be Layla, who they just very recently became friends with. She had not shared her plans to join the academy, but they are delighted to see her there and welcome her to the class. She takes a seat next to them after ignoring the other boys in class. Professor Elna then continues with the next part of her announcement. The Hero Academy has an annual tradition of taking the entire student class for a special trip to the outskirts of town where they have natural hot springs. The overnight trip is both a chance for further skill development and training, as well as group bonding and relaxation. The class goes wild with excitement for the trip and prepares to head out soon by packing essential goods. The day of the camping trip arrived, and the class set out on foot to trek through the fields and hills. The class is buzzing with excitement, but Professor Elner reminds them that there can be several monsters along the way, and that they should never let their guard down. As the day progresses, everyone's enthusiasm dies down, and they begin complaining and whining about being tired. Prof. Elna stops them for another briefing about the dangers they might face, but one of the students named Luke decides to act funny and overconfidently tells her to chill out. In one swift move, she slams him to the ground to teach everyone a lesson about being humble and aware without trying to show off. She tells them to plan a fence formation to walk through the next part of the trek, as she will be keeping her distance from now on so they can train by themselves. The group continues their journey, and Luke, who has the skill for locating traps, stays ahead with Noir. Suddenly, he shouts for them to stop and picks up a stone which he throws on the ground ahead of them. A bomb is set off and a huge crater is formed in front of them. If not for his skill, they would all have been blown up into tiny pieces. The girls find a magical-looking bunch of flowers and sit to adore it while Noir tries to figure out who set the trap there. Meanwhile, a pixie shows up and says it was put there by monsters and that she can help them through a shortcut. He is suspicious of her since he knows pixie have been known to deceive their prey using their cute and innocent looks. He tries to warn the group, but they are already in awe of the pixie and agree to follow her to the shortcut so they can reach the hot springs faster. She leads them away from the main path and into a dark cave. The unsuspecting students follow her without much questioning, but Noir has a suspicious feeling as they venture deeper into the unknown cave. He pulls out his sword, which the pixie discourages, but he knows better than to trust her. They reach a middle point that breaks into 3 different parts, and before anyone moves forward, he stops them and calls out the pixie on her suspicious behavior. She knows she can't keep up her act anymore, so she reveals her true evil identity and calls out the lizardmen monsters to attack the group. The pixie's special skill is to control other monsters like puppets, so she is able to hurt humans even though she herself is so tiny. Seeing the turn in events, the class immediately snaps into a defensive mode and the boys run ahead to attack and destroy the monsters. But it is the girls who are the real game changers. They are extremely angry that they were tricked and remove all that anger and frustration onto the lizardmen. In no time, they manage to defeat all the enemy including the evil pixie and they make it out of the cave. Professor Elna appreciates their teamwork and their ability to work so swiftly. They continue their journey through the mountain, and finally, after reaching the end of the cliff, they can see the steam from the hot springs in the distance. This renews their energy, and they complete the last bit of their journey in no time to reach the hotel. The boys and girls separate into different sections and enjoy the rest of their time there before they have to return back to their town and schoolwork. In the weeks after the trip, Noir gets back to regularly visiting the dungeon in order to work on his skills and powers under Olivia's guidance, as well as to collect the rare items for the family's upcoming business. They have found a place to rent and renovated it, and now Noir has also brought in enough special goods for them to plan an opening for the store. The family spends a whole evening trying to come up with a name for their store, and each one presents their idea. The lion suggests Stardian Rarities, and this name impresses everyone since it includes the family name as well as describes the business and invites a sense of curiosity in the mind of a customer. Emma, the receptionist, and Luna are all at the store to help the family out with the final stacking of shelves and preparation for the store opening. Noir lets them try one of the store's secret formula dishes as a reward for all their hard work. Soon after, they prepare to count down the seconds to the store's opening. After so many months of struggle and hard work, the family finally has their business up and running. The lion sits outside at the entrance and encourages customers to go in and shop for things. So far, the store seems to be off to a good start as the people enjoy all the products they have to offer. His father thanks him for everything he has done, and as he watches over the store, he remembers all the crazy times he has gone through since waking up and finding out he lost the job of being a librarian. Things really did turn out for the best, and he remembers Olivia, who has played the biggest role in helping him achieve all of this so far. Unfortunately, she is still stuck in the death chains and cannot leave the dungeon or enjoy any real freedom. He decides to go visit her again, but this time he comes with a serious look on his face. He has made up his mind that now his next mission will be focused on finding a way to free her from this prison so she can live out in the open world. She laughs at his idea since the chains are cursed, and if she escapes them, she will die immediately. But he is adamant on finding a way. He summons his great sage skill and asks for the best way to find an escape from the cursed chains and to free Olivia. This time, however, the sage is also not very sure of his answer, but he tells Noir that the best chance he has is to explore the 15th floor of the dungeon, as he might be able to find an answer there. He goes on to the 15th floor and finds 2 paths based on the number of people entering. So he walks through path 1, but after going a bit further, he remembers Olivia telling him not to push himself too much as he may never return. So he stops and goes back to the town where he meets Emma. He explains to her the situation he is in and asks if she will be willing to assist him in this journey as they will stand a better chance fighting together. She is touched by his noble intentions for Olivia and agrees to help him out. They reach the dungeon again and transport to the 15th floor. The first door leads them to an empty room, but when they try to exit, the door is locked. The floor creaks, and from the 4 corners of the room, a large army of dwarf goblins emerge and charge at them. Noir manages to stop them and creates cookies to offer it to them as a peace offering. They try it and fall in love with it. While eating the cookies, they force Emma to entertain them by making sounds of different animals like a pig. Noir stays calm, and when they are done with the cookies, he creates more and gives it to them. They happily gobble it up, but to their surprise, they start throwing up everything. He had poisoned the cookies this time and was able to kill them all off without any effort. Emma is impressed by his strategy, and they make their way to the next room, which is a giant hall, and in the middle of the room an exact replica of Olivia is chained up in golden chains. Noir uses his discerning eye and sees that this is a monster created by imitating all the skills and powers as well as looks of the real Olivia. Emma uses her wind/power to break off the chains to see if this will help the real Olivia. Unfortunately, the monster turns evil instantly and starts attacking them. Since her powers are as strong as Olivia, she is able to beat the two of them very easily. Emma is thrown against a wall and injured. He runs to her and uses the elevator skill to transport back to the real Olivia. They failed their mission this time, but the two of them are determined to try again after collecting more information. He spends the next few days in the library reading about the legendary Olivia and all her skills and powers. After carefully studying them one by one, he finds out that the only chance he has at saving her is by using the sacrifice skill against the fake Olivia. In order to use this skill, he has to give up a number of his gained powers, and if he does not choose carefully, he can end up losing things that are very important to him. He is heading back home at night when he sees a girl standing on the bridge nearby. As he goes closer, he sees that it is none other than the fake Olivia, who has followed them all the way to the city. She tells him her job is to eliminate anyone who reaches the 15th floor by whatever means necessary. He prepares himself to fight her and activates the sacrifice skill by letting go of 3 of his previous skills. He has a strong red aura around him, and using all his force he charges at her. She is shocked for a second, but even then her rank is so high that she is able to quickly step out of the way and use her upgraded sword and manages to slash him across the chest. He falls to the ground in insane pain, and as he struggles to stand up, he remembers he is doing this for Olivia, who has done so much for him all this time. He can't give up now. All the way back in the dungeon, she too can sense that he is in immense pain and danger, and she prays for his safety. The fake monster Olivia mercilessly raises her sword on the fallen Noir and prepares to end him once and for all. Just as she is about to strike him, a strong gust of wind is heard from behind, and Emma, using her wind speed power, reaches the bridge just in time to save him by knocking the unsuspecting monster down. The receptionist follows shortly after, and then Luna and Layla also join them. Olivia's prayers may have been answered as the 4 of them form a defensive wall in front of him and prepare to attack. After everything he has done for all of them, they can finally return the favor and save his life. The monster laughs at their feeble attempt to save their friend, and they begin their attack. At first it looks like they might stand a chance against her. Luna takes the first shot and aims her gun at her. Without sparing any time, the 2 others also launch their attack and send the monster backward. When Emma tries to strike her again, her sword comes in the way, and she feels a shock all through her body, which causes her to collapse. The receptionist begins launching barrels at the monster so her friends have time to recover and attack, but even she fails as soon as fake Olivia sends a barrel flying back at her. Noir is still too injured to stand up and fight, so Layla charges next directly at the monster with her fist extended out. As soon as she makes contact with her, she activates a fire skill which sends her flying back and leaves her dying on the ground. Luna tries to heal her, but she also collapses and falls down. All the girls have been hit simultaneously with a spell that has caused them to have a fever. Noir is once again all on his own and has to find the strength in him to fight. He uses his editor skill to delete the power from her sword. But since she also has the same powers as Olivia, she is also able to edit his skills and slow down all his attacks. He struggles to stand up and knows that if he has any chance of defeating her, it is only by sacrificing all of his skills and powers except the ones he had in the beginning. By doing so, he will be able to get huge amounts of power in exchange to attack the monster. This time, the red aura shines even brighter around him and leaves the monster a bit worried. He charges at her, and she is able to dodge his attack, but he keeps going until finally his sword hits her collarbone. However, instead of cutting her, it bounces right off as her body is made of metal. She starts punching him back in fury, and as he falls to the ground, she summons the fire dragon again. It is about to engulf him when he gathers all of his memories and willpower and finds a way to fight through all of the pain so he can save his friend and go back home to his family. With a new mental strength and determination, he is able to run through the dragon as his sword absorbs the fire power from it. He continues running until he is able to strike the fake Olivia with all his force, and the heat from the sword causes her to shatter and die. At long last, she has been defeated, and the girls regain their strength as the curse is lifted from them. They run to hug Noir and thank him for saving them all again. He thanks them back for their bravery. Once he regains some more energy, he goes back to the dungeon, which is now empty since Olivia is freed. He finds her standing outside on the hillside, with her hair blowing gently in the wind. When she sees him, the two of them embrace and acknowledge all the things they have done for each other. In the weeks that follow, the classes resume as normal, and they are back to their usual training. The family store is also booming with business, and Noir makes his way back to the dungeon so he can gain back all the skills and powers that he lost during the battle. For now at least, all was well, and if he kept at his training, he might just have a chance to someday be the strongest and greatest adventurer and warrior that his town has ever seen.